Hello there folks, and welcome back to another speed paint video. This week I'm gonna be doing something kinda weird. I'm gonna be making some Fakemon, or fake Pokemon as some people call them, but they're not gonna be your traditional sort of Fakemon. Instead of having the normal 18 types that real canon Pokemon have, these are gonna be a little stranger. These are actually going to be Eeveelutions based on types that don't exist in the Pokemon games. And these are all just single word prompts that would make for an interesting or weird elemental type for a creature to be. This is a concept I actually originally did quite a few years ago, and every once in a while I find myself revisiting it, and I thought it would be fun to do a speed paint for this concept since it's been a while. So I asked some of you guys on YouTube if you had any ideas, and I racked my brain for ideas for myself, and I came up with 6 different, unique, weird, fake Eeveelutions for you guys today. So without further ado, let's get into the speed paint. The first design we have is based on the prompt party, so this is a party type Eeveelution. This one was a lot of fun. This idea was actually suggested by Eonova on YouTube, so thank you so much for the suggestion. This one was a lot of fun to do. Party is just an interesting, evocative prompt since a party could mean so many things. Do you mean like a traditional birthday party with the sprinkles and streamers and stuff? Do you mean like a different kind of party, like maybe a bridal shower or a baby shower or like a graduation party or something like that? It could be really all sorts of different stuff. There's all sorts of different reasons to have a party and different ways parties are celebrated. You can even say that a party could also be something like an RPG party, like a traveling group of people, or something like that. Ultimately, I ended up going with the most traditional form of party, at least where I live, which is the kind of cartoon ideal of a child's birthday party. So things like colorful sprinkles, bright colors, lots of streamers and ribbons and fun things like that, and just overall just very saturated and fun stuff. A very fun, playful design. I made this one very asymmetrical wherever I could, so there's different markings on the paws, so one of the front paws has a short, small marking, whereas one of the rear ones has a tall one. I made a streamer go around the tail, since originally I was going to actually make the tail just made up of a bunch of streamers, but I felt that that looked a little bit too busy and I was having an annoying time with tangents trying to draw that. So instead I went with a very Sylveon-like tail where it's very simple, but it has a little streamer wrapped around it so it has an interesting silhouette. Its ears are kind of shaped like old party poppers that you might use at like a New Year's party or something like that. It's got a little crest on top of its head to evoke the idea of a party hat, but without looking exactly like one. And its curl is kind of inspired a little bit by Jigglypuff, just to further cement the Pokemon visual language thing we got going on here. Its eyes are very bright and colorful, with a green and yellow sort of vibe, and it's got a big red splotch on one side of its face, and its ears are different colors to further emphasize the asymmetry and the playfulness of this thing. There is nothing formal about this creature, it just loves to have fun. It's also got little bits of confetti flying out from the little ruff under its neck. I wanted to kind of imitate the idea of what Spupa does in a lot of its animations, where the little confetti flies out of its fur. I wanted to do something like that with this guy, where it just is passively dropping glitter and confetti everywhere, and I just thought that would be super cute. I also added some body markings, so like I said, the paws have a couple of markings on 2 of them, and somewhere on the rear of its back it's also got like a star and some other splotches and other fun stuff. Overall, I wanted this thing to feel like it's in the act of like painting or setting up a party or just having a lot of fun playing in a ball pit or in some confetti. Just a very playful, fun, asymmetrical design that I just had a ton of fun with, so party made for a very fun type. Next up we have one that I actually wanted to revisit that I originally did a few years ago, which is Virus. Virus is a very fun theme. This design plays on both the literal idea of like a virus you can actually get sick with, but also a couple of like color sensibilities that suggest the idea of a computer virus. The original design that I made back in I think either 2021 or 2022, it was based on the elemental type seen in Deltarune, and I just thought that those were really interesting, so that's where this very concept began, was by borrowing types from a different game and applying them to Pokemon. And Virus is just so interesting, because in Deltarune they really do play with the dual aspect of both the real-life sickness, but also it being a computer virus. So there's a lot of fun stuff like that, and I wanted to lean into the kind of that palette. But this is also a redraw, so this is very much like a reimagining, but also like a revisiting of this old concept. It's not too radically different, but it is more refined, I think, and I think it speaks more to like my modern and contemporary sensibilities nowadays versus like how I wanted to draw this a few years ago. So even though I'm tackling the same prompt and ostensibly drawing the same character over again, it also feels very different, and it very much shows like how my art's grown the past few years, which was really cool to do. This guy also has a giant snot like thing coming out of its nose, just a big dribble of snot, because I just thought that was so funny for the silhouette, and it was probably one of my favorite parts of the original design, so I basically had to keep that totally intact. I made its tail kind of shaped like a bacteriophage, another type of virus or microscopic thing that makes you sick. And man, I just had a lot of fun with this one. It just screams that you shouldn't touch this thing because it's so like pointy and weird and it probably would sneeze on you. I tried to make its eyes look really wet and watery, like it's got a lot of sinus pressure or something like that. I even added bags under the eyes to make it feel even more tired, which also kind of leans into the being on the computer too long idea. Overall, this was just a very fun one to revisit. It had been a while since I had done this concept, and sometimes I think about this design and it makes me smile. It was really nice to visit it again with fresh eyes and give it a fresh take. Next up, we have another one that I came up with the prompt on my own, which is creepy. I thought it would be kind of fun to do a spin on, like, doing something that you couldn't do with the regular Pokemon types. So I wanted to make something that feels at home with Dark or Ghost, but is most certainly not just a Dark or Ghost type. And that's because this thing is creepy. So I wanted to lean into creepypasta first and foremost, as well as like folk tales in general, since I think that's what like divides it away from just being just a Dark type or just a Ghost type. Like it's not just a spirit, and it's not just like a malevolent creature or a nocturnal creature. This thing is, like, specifically born from the ideas of fear that are in folklore. So it's got some, like, very cliched parts of its design that I wanted to borrow from different types of creepypasta. So, for example, it's got, like, these dark eyes with no highlights that are kind of bleeding. It's also got, like, funny ectoplasmic take on, like, emo or scene type hair where it's, like, covering half of its face. And it reveals also this, like, red glowing third eye, which I thought would be kind of spooky. This thing definitely glows in the dark in a really striking way. It has, like, this beat-up, torn-up ear, and its tail looks like an old, tattered scroll for magic, and it's got an extra glowing, creepy eye on it that, I don't know, now that I'm looking at it again, it's giving Sheikah, for sure. But, you know, I had a lot of fun with it. I wanted this thing to feel like an old, antique piece of paper, like you're reading an old story from a book that's creeping you out, and this is the creature that came from it, or something like that. I also tried to borrow a few of the aesthetic sensibilities from old Pokemon creepypasta, because, I mean, how could I not with this design, right? So, to me, I kind of had in the back of my mind, like, memories of stuff like Lost Silver, or, like, Pokemon Black version, before there was the actual game that was Pokemon Black. So, there's just, like, the nostalgia and memories of, like, reading Pokemon creepypasta, which to me as a kid, I never really found scary because I just simply could not suspend my disbelief. I was too much of a Pokemon nerd to be like, wow, this could happen. I'd be like, this person is lying. They are lying about what happened when I was a kid reading them, but I still find like the sprite work, like Buried Alive, for example, is very striking. There's like a really good sprite art of like Silver from Lost Silver that's really memorable to me, so even though as a kid I did not appreciate those stories very much, I can appreciate them as an adult for being just a cool little stepstone in the Pokemon community. And I definitely wanted to borrow some like ideas and aesthetics from that when creating this little creepy Eon design. And I just had a lot of fun with this guy. I love how this creepy Eeveelution came out, and I think it's really cute, but also still pretty creepy. Next up, we have a prompt that was suggested by Urklo on YouTube, and it's Clown. And I was a little tempted to not do this because I was a little scared it would come out a little too similar to the party design. But I decided I would go with it and just try to lean into as different shapes as possible. So while the party design has a lot of pointed and rectangular shapes like rectangular confetti or like pointy party poppers or like ribbons and stuff, I want this clown to be predominantly round and circular shapes, kind of giving the impression like, I don't know, like it's a dolled up balloon animal or something like that. So it's got these huge giant ears that are kind of very lollipop-like. It has this amazing clown ruffle on its neck, because I thought that would be cute. It's got asymmetrical clown makeup. It's got a little red nose and it's sticking its tongue out, very playful style. And I made its tail like this big, like fluffy ball, essentially. It's just like a curled up, like, you know, like a lollipop sort of vibe. It's somewhere between like a lollipop and a cinnamon roll in terms of its shape. And I kind of like the idea, like, maybe it can unfurl it and smack you with it as a surprise. Like, that feels like a gag a clown would do. So, yeah, I just thought it would be a lot of fun. I really wanted to lean into the primary colors here. Since the party design has a lot of, like, green and stuff in it, I wanted to get away from that. So this is primarily just, like, a reddish pink, a nice good yellow, and a nice middle-of-the-road blue. And these played very nicely together. They definitely remind me of a lot of candy I would see at the boardwalk during the summer when I was a kid. And, I mean, the boardwalk is also somewhere where I associate clowns, at least for me in my childhood, because there were always, like, carnival games with clowns as, like, props in them. And either way, this was just a very fun little design. Also, the eyes kind of turned out looking like the bisexual flag, just a funny thing that just happens when you have blue and pink, I guess, and you want to put a purple in between. Oh, there you go. Bisexual eyes on this clown. So that was very cute. A very happy little accident there. So I'm very happy with how this ended up turning out. It was a challenge trying to figure out how it would make it different from the party evolution, but this one's super cute, and I feel like it does stand on its own, even though I do think they would get along very well. I think these are two Pokemon you could totally have play together, and definitely nothing silly would happen. Definitely not. They would definitely not destroy everything clown style. Probably. Next up, we have one that was suggested by the red guy on YouTube, who suggested hallucination. And this was a very interesting prompt. Usually I go for like a nice 2-syllable word for a lot of these types, but man, I could not get this one out of my head. No pun intended for that. It was very hard to figure out how to tackle this, though, because hallucination is a very, like, broad term. Like, it doesn't just refer to visual hallucinations, but, like, auditory hallucinations. Like, you can hallucinate something that's a taste or a smell. Like, there's a lot of weird stuff, and anyone can experience a hallucination, and they're all very different. So I tried my best to do research on, like, common ones that are very commonly experienced. So, for example, like, you might hallucinate something in the dark because your eyes are, like, trying to come up with anything because there's a lack of, you know, light stimuli going in them. So, like, there's a lot of ideas of, like, flashing lights and patterns of waves that people typically see when they hallucinate something visually. And I thought I would definitely lean into visual hallucination for this design because that makes the most sense for, like, a character design, is that I would go with the very visual ones. But yeah, this one was just really interesting. I tried to make it feel like the colors and its accents are vague and unsure, like, is this thing purple, blue, orange, yellow? I wanted it to feel like it's iridescent and ever-flowing in its color, in the same way that, like, if you close your eyes and you see, like, any lights or anything in there, like, I wanted that fluidity in this design when it came to the color palette. It's also got a very strong, like, black and white tendency to kind of lean more into, like, the idea of flashing lights as a hallucination that people have. Like, I think as a kid I probably experienced, like, that vague flashing light sort of hallucination, but I don't really remember. All that to say is that I try my best to suggest something that is in motion that you can only see in your eyes, and that you can only see briefly. And trying to express that in a character design was very tough. So I tried my best to make this thing, like, ephemeral and loose, like, its limbs are not quite all together, its tail is totally floaty. Like, I really wanted it to feel like it's not all there, but not in a ghost-like way, but more like in a surreal type way. So, yeah, this is just like a very strange, quirky little design, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. I think it's very elegant. I think it really does convey the ideas I was trying to go for. I think it effectively represents the types of hallucinations I was using as inspirations for this, and I think it came out really cute, too. Last, we got one that I came up with that I'm surprised I hadn't done yet, because it feels very obvious to me, and it's Frog. Frog is a very weird thing to combine with an evolution. Since they are very mammalian in their designs, it's very weird to make something not a mammal be a part of them. So, like, the only one I can think of that's not really like that is Vaporeon. But even then, Vaporeon definitely, like, even though it has fish-like elements, its tail is very much like a mermaid's tail in terms of, like, the fact of how long it is compared to the body and the sort of fluke that it ends in. Like, Vaporeon, even though it is very aquatic in a fishy way, I think it kind of borrows more from a mermaid, which is a sort of mammalian-like creature, more than it does from any actually aquatic animal. At least that's my take when I look at the design. That's definitely what I think. Its fins are definitely very flying fish to me, but other than that, like, Vaporeon's very much a mermaid cat in my eyes. So making an Eeveelution that is just straight up, like, inspired by an aquatic animal as if it was like a type was very funny to me. So I wanted to do that because I just thought it was hilarious. The ears are these giant lily pads because lily pads and frogs are very synonymous to me. Plus, frogs don't really have ears the way that the Eeveelutions do, so it kind of gives this Eevee the same, like, silhouette that you get from every other Eeveelution where they have those big chonky ears. But it also still makes it look kind of bald because they're not actually coming off of its body. At least it doesn't seem like they are. I think that they would be in this design, but it's very different from the, like, light green body. It's also got a nice big, like, throat, just like how many frogs, like, inflate their throats as, like, part of their mating displays. I thought that would be kind of fun and add to that ruffle thing that a lot of Eeveelutions have. I give it, like, big orange eyes, like many frogs also have, and a few, like, blue accents. Its tail is kind of like the tail end of, like, a froglet or tadpole tail, and I thought it would add just a couple of nice cool accents so it isn't just all samey in terms of color. And of course it's got little webbed feet. Its front paws are a lot smaller than its back ones because, yeah, I mean, frogs have much smaller, I think, front feet, and way more pronounced webbing on their rear feet. At least that I remember. At least the local frogs around me are like that. So I wanted to represent that sort of idea of frog anatomy without going totally froggy. It was very weird trying to combine these, like, animals that are not necessarily congruous, but making them feel like they work together. And ultimately, I think I came up with something with a sleek and simple design that very obviously reads frog-like, while also being not necessarily a frog. Like, this is definitely a creature that is frog-typed, which is exactly what I was going for. So I had a lot of fun with this one, and I think it came out very silly and cute. And with that, that's all that I've got for you guys today. So thank you all so much for watching. Let me know which one of these designs was your favorite in the comments below. I certainly had a lot of fun with all of them, so I'd love to hear which ones you guys like the best. And if you have any suggestions for more types in the future, let me know. This is a topic I'd love to revisit, so if you have any cool ideas for fake Pokemon types to turn into an Eeveelution, let me know in the comments below. I'd also like to thank my supporters on Ko-fi for helping to make this video possible. My Ko-fi members help make my life a little bit more stable and make my income a little bit more consistent, and they help me live out my dream of making art my main living. So I really, really appreciate each and every one of you. If you'd like to join them, you can go check out my Ko-fi page and join my monthly memberships for as little as just $1 a month. And all tiers get added to the credits of each of my videos, so if you'd like to show your support a little and get to show off a little bit by being in the credits, feel free to come join, even at the lowest tier. I seriously appreciate it. I am trying to reach 100 monthly members before the end of 2026, so every single supporter matters, everything counts, so even if all you can give is $1, if you feel so inclined, I would really appreciate it. You can also commission me on VGen if you'd like to get some custom art. I'm trying to get verified over there at the time of recording, and I'm trying to earn my star on my shop. So whether you're interested in downloadable stuff like wallpapers or emotes, or you want to commission something custom for your own characters or for yourself or for a loved one, feel free to go check that out. I'd really, really appreciate it. I'm also going to be teaching classes with the Leaping Fae this spring, so if you'd like to know when those are, what they are, and how to sign up, I highly recommend following the Leaping Fae on Instagram and checking out theleapingfae.com/events, where you can find the sign-up forms right there in case you'd like to come join me for a class sometime. And with that, that's all that I've got for you guys today, so thank you all so much for watching. I hope to see you next week with another art video. And in the meantime, why don't you guys go out there and make some art?